next year, right?
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna. No, I won't ask about that. What I will ask about is, I'm sure you saw when OU played Ohio State, the OU mascot. Any advice for Freddie this week? Get a couple extra reps in it?
I don't know. I'd be maybe a little bit more concerned if I was Freda. So, you know, he didn't do too well against Brutus there. So he may, you know, he may pick on someone else this week. So yeah, we're gonna avoid the Bobcat. That's for sure. We have enough injuries without getting somebody else hurt pregame.
They have some common opponents, Ohio State and Marshall. Is there anything from those tapes that maybe caught your eye, having played those teams?
You know, their Marshall game was very similar to ours. In the Marshall game, we generated some turnovers for touchdowns, but the Marshall game, Ohio scored on the last play of the game, went for two, had a guy wide open, and the guy kind of got tripped up. Otherwise, you know, they're a 3-2 football team, and you know, their other game that they lost was one that went down in the fourth quarter as well. So, you know, we're sitting here thinking, you know, we're a 1-4 team that could easily be a 3-2 team, and I'm sure down in Athens they're saying they could easily be a 4-1 team. But again, there's a million of those stories every year in college football, and you know, you are what you are, and you go from there.
How's Matt progress this week?
He practiced yesterday, not the whole practice, but you know, took some of the reps, and he did that a week ago, and then didn't feel very good on Wednesday. So we're kind of holding our breath right now, and hoping that he can practice today. So we're not, you know, it's going to be a game time decision again. It's all going to be on how he feels and if he can protect himself. So, you know, I'm optimistic, but I was optimistic last week at the press conference as well. So we just got to kind of wait and see and hope he can go, but we certainly have to plan that he can't.
We've asked that question, Dave, the last 3 weeks. And so for us, the question always seems to be the same. But for you, that has been kind of a different question each week, hasn't it? I mean, a couple weeks ago you had to answer it or think about one thing, and last week it was something else, and this week it's kind of, you're asking yourself what gives us the best chance to win right now, or
yeah, obviously the best chance to win right now is to have our starting quarterback. And you know, if you can go back to August when you guys were grabbing me after practice and you would ask how's the starting quarterback battle going, I said there isn't one.
Right.
The battle's for number 2. Nobody has established himself as the number 2, and obviously that has hurt us. And you know, so it is, you know, it's a difficult decision that our number 1 guy right now is clearly our number 1 guy, and if he can go, he gives us our best chance to win. But you got to be prepared. What if he can't go? And then how do you divide up the reps? And it has not been an easy thing to manage. We pretty much knew the Michigan game he'd be out, but we were very hopeful he could play last week. And you know, so now you go into the 3rd week of dealing with really the same issue, and at the same time knowing our best chance to win is to have our starting quarterback, and you've got to prepare a plan B, and that's where it gets very interesting and challenging. But again, it's part of coaching football.
And also along those lines, you're weighing a decision in terms of what helps us this week, what helps us the rest of this season, what helps us down the road.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is really, again, no offense here, but with the Michigan game, that is something you weigh. Once you get into the MAC schedule, really every game's your championship game. You know, last year, you know, we dropped a pass in one of the last plays of the game against Ohio that if we catch it, we might be playing for the MAC championship. So once you get into the MAC schedule, you know, to me, that, you know, as you said, every game is must win, and especially once you have a 1-leg loss. You know, so to hedge your bets and say, geez, can you get by this week without him? That has never been a factor, starting with the Buffalo game. If he can play, we want him to play.
Right. No, I'm looking more along the lines of if you're considering Trent as your quarterback and burning that redshirt year. I'm sorry. Yeah. The other thing to consider is, you know, getting a win to help this team. You know, the mental part of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to play the guy that gives us the best chance to win the game. The consideration with Aaron and Trent, when we knew Matt was out, we had those 2 battle for it. And, you know, Trent, I think, has a great upside. It was just obvious that week that Aaron was much more comfortable with the offense. And then, you know, we didn't play well at Michigan, and I didn't feel that was a fair evaluation to Aaron to just say, well, based on the Michigan game, we're going to make a change. You know, the other thing that's happened in the last 2 weeks, Trent has gotten a lot of reps, and now his ability to run the first offense has gotten a lot better as well. You know, so when he, you know, the first time he had ever played quarterback in a practice going through a game plan was getting ready for Michigan. And he wasn't ready, and he learned from that. And he got a little bit more ready for Buffalo. So, you know, he is playing at a better level than he was 2 weeks ago. And we have to do, you know, the consideration of what about next year, what about 2 years, 3 years from now. It's not fair to the seniors on the team to even factor that in there. If a guy you would like to redshirt gives you your best chance to win, you have to play him. And if Matt can't go, you know, Trent will at some point play. You know, it's just not fair to the seniors on the team to not play him for future considerations. I mean, you know, the future's now. We need to win now.
If Matt can't go Saturday and Aaron is starting, how long of a leash or whatnot do you have?
No, you know, if Matt can't go, you know, we haven't decided that Aaron will start. I mean, that is a competitive situation, and I would say it's a lot more competitive than it was 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, Trent has certainly grown the last 2 weeks and given all those reps. And, you know, could he play a whole game? I don't know if he could play a whole game, but we would make a commitment to at least get him in there, you know, regardless of who starts.
Well, it's on the offensive line with Blake Walker in it.
It's been a lot of juggling, and again, Blake's a guy that practiced a little bit yesterday and looked good, and then we got to see how he feels today because it impacts a lot of different positions. You know, I don't think, given the timeline, I think we now have to, you know, Jordan Russo's, who we moved over 3 weeks ago, certainly understands the offense a lot better now than he did when Blake got hurt. And rather than bouncing 5 different guys around, you know, I think Jordan's a lot more ready to play this week. So, you know, if Blake can't go, it might be a matter of moving Tyler Donahue to left tackle and playing Jordan Russo's at right, or getting Kyle Bryant work at left tackle. But I'd really not like to reshuffle the whole group again. That certainly, that didn't help us last week, you know, but it was the way of getting our best 5 guys on the field.
I would say every week in practice is a competition, but I'm looking more at the extra point rather than the field goal at the end of the game at Buffalo. Has you been looking even more at the kicking game for open competition this week?
You know, Brian won the job in camp, and it wasn't real competitive. You know, you play your best guys, and I've said this before, you don't make a change just for the sake of making a change. You make a change because you believe the other guy can perform better and give your team a better chance to win. And, you know, in practice when we charted the kicks, and we continue to chart it, Brian's our best kicker. And so I was very comfortable on Saturday with 3 seconds left and the game on the line, putting him in there to hit that field goal. And again, it's part of the nature of the game. I mean, he missed it by 6 inches to the right. And it was a good kick. He hit it pure. The extra point was not on him. That was blocked through A-gap. He did not mishit the kick. He hit it perfect. It was just more protection. And you go back and look at a game of the 15 different things you could have done differently. That was certainly one of them. If we just hit that extra point, we don't have to go for 2. And, you know, worst case scenario, we're in overtime.